Rise of the Ronin is the newest release from Team Ninja, developers of the Neo series and Dead or Alive. They've also made the recent Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Their recent games starting from Neo have all been very similar. Excellent combat and enemies that explode colourful loot. Rise of the Ronin is a more grounded entry opposed to Neo. In Ronin you're fighting just regular dudes, in Neo you're fighting demons. Upon entering the game you're met with the choice to create two characters. One will be your protagonist throughout the game. The character creator is very good, you can customise anything you want, with hairstyles being able to be further customised with front or back options. So overall very good. The story begins with one of the two characters, whoever you decide not to play, going missing, and now you'll spend the game looking for them, but are swiftly distracted and are drawn into a civil war between the rebels and the shogunate. Missions and decisions throughout the game will decide your favour with either alliance, and interactions with characters will also affect how you are treated. The game does have a similar thing to the Assassin's Creed games where you're basically just friends with every leading figure during that time, even though you're just a passing Ronin. Character interactions can also increase their bond with you, giving you rewards and even a loving relationship. Throughout the game you'll have missions with the various important figures, doing what are called Ronin missions, which follow the same structure as previous Neo games. Fight or sneak through a stage, looting, and finally defeating a boss. But this time you can bring two allies with you, which make the game a lot easier to me compared to the previous Neo games. Some bosses will require you to fight two enemies, but since there's three of you for the most part, you can get away with just brute forcing it. And since you can heal any downed member of the team, death is not an instant game over. The biggest change in Ronin is a move to an open world. The game includes 3 zones, Yokohama, Edo, and Kyoto. The worlds are broken up into districts and each has its own completion rating. Each area will have collectibles such as shrines, locations, enemy bases, photograph locations, and best of all, cats. Once a location is completed you'll get some rewards, which I have yet to make use out of. Side quests and challenges are also knocking about, like using the new glider to fly through targets. With a new shift to open world, a new mode of transportation is needed. Ronin includes a horse, and as I said, a glider. Both work very well. The horse I really like as I've gone for the more gameplay approach, making it a vehicle and not an animal, if that makes sense. In games like The Witcher or Red Dead Redemption, your horse acts like an animal and will have to make its own way to you when you call it, and more than likely it'll get stuck somewhere, or even running away. The horse in Ronin basically just appears wherever you need it, even while gliding. You also have a grapple hook to get up to higher spots, but it can only be used in certain locations. Completing the open world is something I always get drawn into, especially when there's a nice 100% completion for each zone. I'll just spend ages wandering around collecting cats and pictures and clearing enemy bases. Exploring the world you'll come across Ronins who are other players' characters, so you can have a little fight with them. You can also come across other players' dogs. Yes, you can pet the dog. The open world does have sticks and stones you can pick up for various crafting items, like arrows, bullets and medicine items, though I never found myself having to actually go out and search for these things. I always had more than enough on me. You are also given a base in each area, which can be used to talk to NPCs, changing gear, changing your character's looks, and sending dogs and cats out on adventures for loot. At your house there is also the Testament of the Soul, a book where you can go back and retry previous missions with different allies, or alone. Loot is the reward for almost everything you do. Killing enemies, completing areas, looting chests, quests, and helping people out in random events. Loot is something that just gets absolutely launched at you at immense quantities, and for the most part, is fucking useless. Just whacking stuff on that has the highest number on will get you through the game. Gear does have sets that you can try and max out for builds, but I found just putting on the best numbered gear was enough to make it through the story. Obviously in higher difficulties, gear sets may matter more, but in just the normal difficulty I played on, I was picking stuff up just so below my current gear level, it was just being dismantled or sold. The best thing you get out of gear is the ability to use it in the transmog area of your base. You can change every aspect of your character's outfit using pieces of gear that you've looted. This is one of my favourite features in the game, fashion. Giving the player the ability to customise all these features of the outfits is just such a good idea. And it doesn't cost you anything extra in real money value. Turns out it is actually possible to give cosmetics away for free. If you've played previous games by this team, you'll know what to expect. A Souls-like experience with loot. Locking onto enemies, blocking and dodging is here and works well. We've got a new counter spark feature, which if timed correctly will leave the enemy open to attack and even a finisher move, if you've broken the enemy's block enough. The counter spark is incredibly satisfying to use. Combat also includes a blood gauge mechanic, serving a similar purpose to the key pulse system in Neo. After an attack, you can flick the blood off your weapon, and depending on how much blood there was on the weapon, you can get stamina back. A very cool feeling, I must say. There's a ton of weapon variety, from standard katanas to spears to guns, all having their own styles and stances, and more unlocking the more you use them. They all come with their own special moves too, some are good, some are not. Each stance will have an effect in combat. Using the correct stance against the current enemy you're facing is needed to an extent. Depending on your current difficulty level and current level compared to the enemy, will factor in how much you actually need to utilise the mechanics. Using the correct stance will deal more damage for a counter move and drain more of the enemy's block, and I also believe it gives you a bigger window to counter in. But if you're completely over leveled like I was for most of the adventure, then you're probably okay to use whatever you like. I love the look of this reverse grip style, but it seems pretty useless against every other style. But I used it anyway because it looks very cool. Ranged weapons like bows and guns are here, and we've also now got a pistol, which are great for taking out ranged opponents. Your grapple hook can also be used in combat, grab enemies off ledges, or used for stealth takedowns. Stealth is now a thing, crouching around in bushes, luring enemies over with noises, and then taking them out. It's actually very fun. Very basic, but it's fun. With the game's more grounded approach this time around, boss fights are generally against people. Maybe you'll fight a boar, but it's just a boar. No mythical beings to be found here, though I did fight Iron Man at one point.
Left to its own devices, Japan will inevitably be lost. What I do to protect it. Japan is not yours to protect. It's my duty, and I won't let you do as you please.
They are all fun and a great test of your skills through the game, though as I said earlier, now there's 3 of you fighting one dude. It was very rare that I actually had to have multiple attempts at fighting a boss. A RPG style skill system is also here, and well, it's here. There's nothing really to say about it other than it is here. It works the same as in any other game you can think of. You earn XP, you get skill points, and you get skills. The graphics of the game have also been a target for negativity with this game. While yes, the graphics aren't the most amazing you'll ever see, it does look very nice, and it runs great too. Overall, Rise of the Ronin is a great addicting game. Combat is very fun, and the variety of weapons you can use make it so you've always got some variety. The open world edition is also great, as you can have a nice chill time exploring a very nice looking world, looking for cats and taking pictures. The only negative I can somewhat say is the loot system seems to be here, for the reason we've had it here before in our other games, we have to have it here too. It doesn't really take away from the experience, it just means you'll be stonked out with resources and money. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.